According to a report, the San Francisco 49ers are actively working the phones and they're looking to make a trade in order to improve this roster. Who could it be for? Which positions could they be targeting? We're talking about that on today's San Francisco 49ers report. Chase Sr. here with you, and no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. So the positions on this ball club that I think the Niners could be looking at, positions where they've either suffered a lot of injuries or they have some big question marks at those positions going into 2025. That's at wide receiver, that's at running back, and that's at offensive line. They've had a lot of injuries at wideout. They've had a ton of injuries at running back, and their offensive line, it's a middle-of-the-road unit when you look at their offensive line group compared to the other 32 teams across the National Football League. And something interesting happened yesterday as the Philadelphia Eagles made another move. And it was another Howie Roseman trade. He has this track record of making so many trades the last few years in the month of August in order to get his team in a spot where he believes they're as best as they can be going into the year. And so the Philadelphia Eagles traded for wide receiver John Metchie. They got back a 2026 sixth-round pick from the Houston Texans. They sent Houston a tight end who wasn't going to make their roster. But Houston has had injuries at that position, and they could use another tight end. So they get Harrison Bryant in addition to a 2026 fifth-round pick. And I know a lot of you were saying, Chase, this is an Eagles-Texans trade. I don't see the Niners on this trade. Who cares? What does it have to do with San Francisco? Has a lot to do with San Francisco because it was almost the Niners who made that trade with the Houston Texans. Jordan Schultz, NFL insider, tweeting this out right after that move was made official between Philly and Houston, that the 49ers were the other team trying to trade for John Metchie III, but the Eagles made a better offer. John Metchie is a very interesting player who I think could have really helped San Francisco and could have been a building block for this team for the foreseeable future. Went to Alabama, was a terrific wide receiver there, won a national championship on that loaded team in 2020, catching footballs from Mac Jones. He had 916 yards there, came back to Alabama, had a career year in 2021, 96 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He then was selected by the Texans with the 44th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. He had an injury in the pre-draft, didn't do any testing, and then missed his rookie year because he was diagnosed with leukemia. He was able to beat cancer. That's awesome. F cancer. But from that point forward, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations of being a top 45 pick in 2022. But I think that Metchie is a really good player, and I think that he could be unlocked by Philadelphia, especially playing alongside A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. One thing that I love about his game, he is a filthy route runner. We've seen the highlights and the tape of Brandon Ayuk being able to win with deceptive body movement, really good feet, and just having a lot of routes to his route tree. Metchie has that to his game too. Now, as I mentioned, he missed all of 2022 because he was diagnosed with leukemia, and so he was put on the non-football injury list, which means he's going to be a restricted free agent after this year. In 2023, his debut season, he did play in 16 games, but was seldom used. 30 targets, 16 catches, 158 yards, 9.9 yards per catch, no touchdowns. Last year, 37 targets, 24 catches, 254 yards, 10.6 yards per catch, and a touchdown. I don't think this is because Metchie stinks as a player. I just think that Houston has had better wide receivers in front of him with a lot of depth. I think San Francisco missed out on not being able to finalize this trade because I really think that Metchie could have helped this Niners receiver room for 2025 and beyond. And Metchie would have helped the Niners with something that they have struggled with and they have emphasized in trying to improve in recent years. Drafting a Ricky Pearsall, getting rid of a Deebo Samuel, prioritizing paying Brandon Ayuk even though he got hurt. And that's being a slick route runner with really good feet, short area quickness. And by being a good route runner, you can beat man coverage. Something that the 49ers could not do in Super Bowl 58 against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm bummed out that the Niners were not able to bring in a player like Metchie, who, if the Niners would have traded for him and finalized that move, he would have been a really intriguing option at that wide receiver spot for this ball club. Now, that brings me to this as we segue and move forward on today's show. Are the Niners still working the phones? I mean, San Francisco tried to make a trade for John Metchie. And if they tried to make a trade and they were on the phones, nearly completing that deal, clearly San Francisco is trying to upgrade this roster. And it's so funny. I'll see some people in the comment section saying, Chase, why are you talking about these trade rumors? The Niners aren't going to make a move. Anytime you talk about a trade, they never make one. Well, how about when they traded for Bryce Huff? How about when they traded for Chase Young? How about when they traded for Christian McCaffrey? Keep that same energy. I talk about these things because I have good insight as to how the Niners operate as an organization, what teams do across the NFL. And this is a telltale sign that clearly the Niners are not content with some of the spots on their roster. Of course, you do have to pose this question. Who and what could the Niners be looking to trade for? Because I mentioned at the start of the show a few different positions. They made some calls, nearly completed a trade for John Metchie. They probably got back the trade proposal that the Eagles were sending Houston, and they still said, nah, but that doesn't mean that the Niners aren't still going to make a move. And so we'll touch on this and expand on it coming up just around the corner, but be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you do, because when a move happens, I always talk about it here on this show. We are 318 people away from 165,000 subscribers, so don't forget to lock us in for daily and year-round coverage of the Niners. I'm also very excited to announce Chubbies as a sponsor for the 2025 NFL season. We are so excited to have them back because I love what they do as a company, and I love the products that they have, like this Niners polo here, which every time I wear it here on the show, everybody is always saying in the comment section, Chase, where did you get that shirt? I have an answer for you. You see that link down below? chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. Use that link and you can find this. We'll have some more information on their NFL line next week, but with all of their other products, you can get $10 off your purchase at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. I know that summer is winding down, but it's never too late to add to your summer wardrobe. And just think, even when summer is in the rear view, you can wear these products next summer as well and forever. They have an awesome lined swim collection. Whether you're poolside, lakeside, or oceanside on that long-awaited vacation, these trunks are ready to travel. Life is too short for uncomfortable swim trunks, so these things are set up for all-day comfort with a quick dry stretch fabric and a built-in liner that actually does its job. No more chafing, no more soggy butt, no more mesh disasters. If you also want some of Chubby's original stretch shorts, I'm wearing them right now. I think they're awesome. They can live on your legs, and then you can pair those shorts or that swimsuit with a Chubby's Performance Polo. Whether you're suiting up for cannonballs, cookouts, or casual Fridays, Chubby's has you covered for a limited time only. Chubby's is giving our listeners $10 off your order using the code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. That's code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. Support our show. Let them know that we sent you. Give summer one last hurrah. Keep the good vibes going with Chubby's here today. As far as trade targets for San Francisco, there is a blockbuster trade target who could be out there, and that is Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals, who would immediately give the Niners one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL with Hendrickson, who has led the NFL in sacks the last 2 years, 17 and a half of them in 2023 and in 2024. And him being on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, scary hours for opposing quarterbacks. And he is looking for a new deal, no more guaranteed money left going into the final year of his contract here in 2025. And he has not been able to come to an agreement on a new contract with Cincinnati. And now it looks as though he is available for the right price. Tom Pelissero, with contract talks at an impasse, The Bengals are listening to trade offers for 4-time Pro Bowl defensive end Trey Hendrickson. No deal is imminent, but the NFL's reigning sack leader is available for the right price. The Niners are a team that has $45.5 million in cap space. That is number 3 in the NFL. While they're eating a lot of dead money for players who are no longer on this team, they still have all of that cap space, and they could elect to not make a move like this, roll that cap space over year, so that they can make some big splashes and prioritize some of their own players during the 2026 offseason. But they are thin along the defensive line. They have a bunch of injuries along the defensive line, and Trey Hendrickson, probably the best player who is actually available out there for San Francisco if they want to bring in a star player. A trade for Hendrickson does not fit what they've done. They've prioritized building through the draft along that defensive line. They took Mykel Williams in the first round, Alfred Collins in the second round, CJ West in the fourth, and so I don't think this trade is likely. But if the Niners wanted to make a big splash because they're concerned with where their pass rush is right now, a Hendrickson-Bosa duo would be incredible for this team that should have and does have playoff aspirations. Jordan Schultz with this tweet, as we circle back to what Schultz has to say. The Commanders have been shopping running back Brian Robinson Jr. to teams around the NFL. Former third-round pick out of Alabama is entering the final year of his contract. The 49ers have a litany of injuries at the running back position. Rookie fifth-round pick Jordan James had finger surgery, out for a few weeks. Isaac Guerendo also out for a few weeks because of a shoulder ailment. Patrick Taylor separated his shoulder on Saturday against the Las Vegas Raiders in preseason game number 2. Corey Kiner, high ankle sprain. He's out a few weeks, and the Niners signed Ameer Abdullah. They put him on season-ending IR after he got hurt against the Broncos in week 1 of the preseason. Brian Robinson was a great running back at Alabama, hasn't been a great running back at the NFL level, but as far as a scheme fit for the Niners, I think that he would work, and I think that Kyle Shanahan in this outside zone where he's been able to maximize the likes of a UDFA and Jeff Wilson, a UDFA and Raheem Mostert, a guy like Matt Breida would be able to bring the best out of Brian Robinson. But last year, despite facing the number 5 easiest schedule of run defenses, he ranked 27 out of 50 running backs in yards per carry at 4.3, 37th in explosive run rate at 6.5%, and 35th in stuff rate at 20%. He also ranked 44th among 50 running backs with 34% of his rushes for 1 or fewer yards. I'll also say that Cliff Kingsbury's offense, he learned from Mike Leach the air raid, a lot of 4 wide receiver sets, not great for running backs. The offensive line for the Commanders, also not great. And Robinson's production overall has been solid behind some bad offensive lines. And prior to last year with bad quarterback play, 797 yards as a rookie, 733 yards in year 2, and then 799 last year. You wouldn't ask him to be your featured back. You'd ask him to help you at a position where you can barely keep guys on the field. Another option for San Francisco here, as far as making a move, if they don't find a trade that they like, and clearly they thought the asking price for Metchie was too high, they could wait for roster cutdown day next Tuesday, then try to sign players who were cut by other teams across the NFL. So let's remember that moving forward, and let's remember the positions that the Niners are said to be targeting here. Wide out, running back, offensive line. I think that they could stand to bring in another corner unless they really like some of the young players there, like a Dallas Flowers, a Jacob Robinson, a Derek Canteen. They have to figure out what they want to do with Saron Neal. I like their starters, but cornerback could be another position that the Niners look at as well, in addition to these 3. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. We're reaching millions of people here every single month on YouTube. I'm reaching millions of people over there on my own personal social media pages.